Hello, my name is Michael Riley. My channel is ABA Appliance. I am going to dispel some myths, and it's actually not a myth in the past. It's a fact that we've never been able to repair. It's for appliance repair, heating, air conditioning, any of the refrigeration. And I suppose it would go into any of the other appliances that deal with aluminum. We've never been able to repair aluminum, especially evaporators. But guess what? We can now. And I don't think most techs are aware of that. There's a product out now that has several products made by the same manufacturer that are just amazing products. In the past, we've tried to epoxy, and epoxy doesn't hold. Any tech that's ever tried it, it's still out there and selling it. I have no idea why it doesn't work. And different products that were fill metal, solder products, lower temperature, they didn't work either. But there's a product out, it's been out for a few years, and it's an amazing product. I actually manufacture evaporators. I've done service for 40 years, full line tech, my own service company. My history goes back to working at Whirlpool Corporation. I actually directly worked with engineers, quality assurance program, and also worked with him on the passive refrigeration bag. Some people are aware of that bag. I still have it. You can't buy them anymore, but my mug was on the back of that. In a Whirlpool uniform was on the back of that box. When I left Whirlpool, they took it off. That's how they are. Whirlpool's pretty ruthless. Anyway, so their race was with GE about getting the right plastic that wouldn't melt if it was up against something warm or almost hot when you're working around torches, and then as well that it wouldn't brittleize with the coldness of the Freon going into it, and it would still stay pliable and not crack and leak. And they came up with it first, Whirlpool did, and I actually worked directly with them on that. It was a pretty amazing project. And that's been like about 38 years ago. But it's no longer available. They don't make it available anymore. It was, basically it was great for anything under a couple pounds, because we work in ounces. So you could evacuate the system right there in the room with the bag and take it out, and then recover the Freon from the bag with the reclamation unit. Those weren't carried in the homes back then. They're much different now. But I started making evaporators, skip forward, a few years ago, probably almost 10 years ago now. Pretty amazing how time passes. Working on SubZero units, these evaporators, about the worst in the world over the years. All the other brands use pretty much mostly use the proper aluminum, refrigeration aluminum, and they last. You get corrosion in them because it's just the nature of any metal that will corrode with moisture. But it's also mostly the evaporators are mostly in the freezer, and at 0 degrees. It's kind of like mold as a parallel. Mold actually grows more when it's warmer. Of course, everybody can understand that. Well, it's no different with corrosion. Corrosion actually grows more and corrodes more the warmer the environment is. And most refrigerators and freezers in the past have all had an evaporator in the freezer, and they would circulate the air into the refrigerator. So there was no need for an evaporator in the refrigerator. The refrigerator being a warmer compartment, it's warmer by almost 40 degrees, 38 degrees, 37. So that warmer climate in the refrigerator is more susceptible for corrosion. And that's why SubZeros, they've always used the cycle defrost in the refrigerator. No defrost heater needed, because once you turn it off, the coils defrost themselves, because it's running above freezing. But the inlet of the capillary is close to zero. Okay, so it frosts up on the coils, but then shuts off before it gets freezing in the compartment, because you have a thermostat in there. So anyways, so when it shuts off, cycles off, then it just defrosts immediately, because the temperature in there is 38 degrees. It's above freezing, and defrosts. So it was always it's always wet, those coils, and always moist and warmer, much warmer, so they'll corrode. But the biggest problem was that SubZero was not using all aluminum. They were actually cladding it with other materials, other metals, and which made them even, copper as an example, that made it even more corrosive. So they have a history of 20, 30 years of leaking, and everybody that's worked on them knows that. So I set out to solve the problem, because it just was really annoying to put in another product that you charge a customer a considerable amount of money to do this job. And I don't like to have to go back on a job because I have a substandard part, which is exactly what they were. They were cutting costs to make them, and they weren't lasting. So I actually, my background's electrical engineering at Arizona State. So I set out to redesign them and remanufacture a higher quality, much higher quality, with the proper refrigeration aluminum. And I actually manufacture now about 15 different models for the SubZero refrigerators. Freezers, I don't make those, because, like I said, the 0 degrees, it's a lot less chance of corrosion. You just don't see it much in the 0 degrees freezer evaporators. So I didn't want to mess with those. I want to do the ones that are real problematic, and that's the refrigerator ones. So I started manufacturing those about 10 years ago, and I've been selling them all over the world. I triple test them, vacuum and pressure, for 48 hours each test. 3 tests under pressure and vacuum, and leave it for 48 hours to make sure there's no leaks when they go out. I don't want any leaks in them. So if you contact me after you get an evaporator and tell me it's a leak in it, I already know there's no leak when you got it, so you caused the leak. Too hot of a torch. All these guys are using oxyacetylene these days, and that's not the proper torch for a refrigerator freezer, domestic refrigerator freezer. Oxyacetylene is 3,000 degrees. It's a cutting torch. You cut metal with it. They use it in the heating HVAC trade, because the lines are so huge. 7/8 lines, 5/8 lines. But we have 1/4 inch and capillary lines. Acetylene, just acetylene, is the gas that you're supposed to be using on domestic refrigeration, not oxyacetylene. Okay, 1,700 degrees around there for acetylene, and it's adequate to flow the silver solder, and you don't get the tube too hot and melt it like you do with the oxyacetylene. So, and brittleize it as well. So I started making these evaporators, and I've got these evaporators available on my websites. The first and foremost website is refrigeratorpartreplacements.com, and like I said, I sell them all over the world, ship them all over the world. There's a huge call for them. Because people like quality, techs like quality product, and it's a higher quality than the original. So I'm going to actually show you. I'm going to be putting up another website dedicated just to repairing the solder. And when you're repairing the solder, what we try to do, if you're a good tech out there, is you try to leave the customer with a working product. In other words, a refrigerator. If you got a leak in it, if it's a really slow leak on a low side, we call it a 2-year leak, and have forever. It's so slow that by the time you get the evaporator, you're going to be able to replace it, but it'll cool the whole time. You know, it might be several days or a week before you get the evaporator, and by the time you get back, they've had a refrigerator, operational refrigerator, so they haven't been without their refrigerator. It really irks me when I get calls from guys. Oh, I need it immediately. The refrigerator's not cool. The customer's upset. But why did you leave it not cooling? Just put some Freon in it, unless it's a high side leak. And if you're ordering an evaporator, it's not a high side leak. It's running at about 0 pounds. Come on, be smarter than the evaporator. That hole is not very big, and it's at 0 pounds. It's barely bleeding out at all, and very likely you can at least get them a few days or a week or until you get back with a cooling refrigerator. So don't leave them without a refrigerator. What's wrong with you? Did you not have Freon on it? Well, then go back with some Freon if you didn't have Freon with you. But leave them with an operational refrigerator. I'll guarantee you that they're going to be extremely happy. They're going to talk about their friends. Wow. I mean, it was like there was nothing wrong with it. He came twice. He diagnosed it once, put Freon in it. It was working again. It worked until he came back, and he put the part in. I wasn't without my refrigerator. I've never had a service like that. Usually they just leave me with a non-working product and make me wait 2 or 3 weeks and then come back, and I'm inconvenienced. I got to go buy another small refrigerator to. You see what I'm saying? Solve the situation for the customer. They're going to brag about you to all their friends. You got free service calls. Okay? So do the job right for the customer. Hell, you know that you're charging them enough for the job. In fact, some cases, guys are out there charging way too much. So do them a good service. Okay? Get the refrigerator operation until you can get back. The leak is so small, it's not going to leak out. In most cases, it's not going to leak out before you get back. Okay? So, there's a product, and what I started the video with was that you can actually fix the aluminum. Now, this is a temporary repair. Don't leave the customer with a fixed, where you fix the evaporator, because the rest of the evaporator is still corroded, and you're going to have pinhole leaks in other places in the evaporator. So it's not a solution. It's just to get you by. And it takes about 2 minutes to do it and recharge it, and then it won't leak at all until you get back. And you're just going to be the hero to this customer. But explain to the customer it's temporary because the rest of the evaporator's got corrosion on it too, and it's probably going to get it's going to get a leak in another place as well. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, it's been in there for 20 years. The whole evaporator's got corrosion on it. And this is just the first hole of many that's going to happen. Then get a higher quality evaporator. I would state, come to me to get it. And we'll get you in there. They won't have another problem with the evaporator probably the rest of the life of the refrigerator. Okay? It's worth noting right now that I've started a program of restoring the sealed system for the older units. I get into more that you can go to my website and find out more about it. But it's replacing a compressor, evaporator, heat exchanger, and dryer. When it's an older unit, 20, 30 years old, restore the whole unit. And go to my website, restoreyoursubzero.com, and you can find out more details about it. But it's a complete restoration of the sealed system. Condenser you don't have to replace ever. It's steel. It's not going to get a hole in it. And do the complete job for them. You don't have to talk them into it. They don't want to replace that for $10,000 or $18,000. Okay, they want it restored because they got beautiful wood panels on them. They're going to have to redo the cabinets, restore the refrigerator for them, so it's back brand new. And if you have to put an evaporator fan motor, condenser fan motor, or thermostat in there, it's about time for that too. At 20, 30 years old, not about, it is time for it. So they put a little bit more, a couple more $100 into it, and they have a brand new refrigerator, everything. Okay, don't try to run the bill up. Just say you're going to probably have a thermostat problem here soon, and condenser fan motor if you haven't replaced it before. But that's just a couple $100 as opposed to the whole system, and it might cost a couple $1,000, $2,000 maybe, to do the whole restoration, but it's $10,000 to $18,000 for a new one, plus the remodeling you're going to have to do. Okay, but back to the repair. So this product, it's 20,000 psi strength. It's a filler metal, so and it actually flows at 350 degrees. 350 degrees. So you're not using a torch, okay? You're not using a oxyacetylene 30,000 degrees. I mean, you'll just incinerate the product, the filler metal. It's even acetylene, MAP gas, propane. You can get away with it by backing it off and getting it away from it, because plumbing solder is not a very high temperature solder. It's almost equivalent. So, but I don't like to have a torch on it. You can. The manufacturer of the product, no problem. They even show examples of it. But I actually found an easier method, which they also recommend, and that's just a heat gun. A heat gun, everybody that has a heat gun knows it's like 700 to 900 degrees. The melting temperature of the filler metal is 350. Okay? So it's adequate, more than adequate. And it will get that solder, that hole, that aluminum portion. There's a beautiful flux that comes with it, and every time you put the flux on, it not only fluxes it, but it heals. It heals the filler metal. It heals it. It just bonds it together. So the more flux is actually better with this product, and it actually heals the filler metal when it flows. So if you think there's a problem, you put more flux on it and just touch it with the rod, and boom, it's healed, and that hole's gone, and it's 20,000 plus psi strength. But as I said, it's not a permanent fix. Okay, just tell them you want to get them by. It's only going to take you 15 minutes or so to just make this work so that they can have a refrigerator until you get back. Oh man, they're going to be thrilled. Okay, you're going way beyond, and I wouldn't say that you're going to charge them more for it. Don't do that. They just add an insult to injury. You're already getting enough money for the job. It only takes 15 minutes to do this. Okay, it's just part of your job. Just be good to them. Okay, so this is an amazing product. I want to share it with you, and I'll go into more details on how it works in later videos. This is an introduction to the product. Look on my website, refrigerator part replacements. I'm also going to, like I said, I'm going to be putting up a new website dedicated to this aluminum weld repair. Basically, you're going to call it a weld repair. It's not going to be a solder, because it's not really a solder. It's a filler metal. It's just like they do in welding. They fill the metal. You fill it with metal where your void is. So it's low temperature. But the exciting thing is that you can fix anything aluminum. They have several products. The one I'm talking about is not made for aluminum boats, but they actually have a product for aluminum boats. There's a hole in the aluminum boat. You can put this filler metal in, and it's a different product. Works a little bit differently, but it's an amazing product. All of the products. It works. I manufacture evaporators. and I use it for the aluminum to copper weld joint. You can use it on almost any white metal. It's an unbelievable product. It doesn't have to be copper. It doesn't have to be. It can be aluminum and copper weld joint, just like on an evaporator. We have the inlet going into the evaporator. That aluminum weld, if you got the tubing too hot, and that's what I do, is I actually weld that joint when I do the evaporators. I put in the tubing, the copper inlet tubing into the evaporator and weld that joint. And before that, you had to do it with a kinetic. Basically, it's kinetic energy. They do it with heat, but not a heat source like a torch or anything. It's basically an oven type source. You just be simple about it. And it's an exact temperature. They put it through a machine, and it cures that joint and welds that joint between the aluminum and copper inlet. This product is, like I said, 20,000 plus strength. So I actually put those joints together myself. I've been doing it for many years now. But I just thought it was maybe time to let techs out here know that if you screw up, basically if you get that joint too hot, I get techs coming to me saying, well, there's a leak in your evaporator, like I said earlier. And I said, no, there's not. They're 3 times tested. Let me see pictures of the inlets. And they're all black because they got the tubing too hot. And the tubing was only about 4 or 5 inches. It's going to travel down and overheat that weld joint at the copper to aluminum joint. And it leaves a crack in it, and it's leaking now. So now what they can do, I tell them, look, you screwed it up, but I can help you fix it. And you don't have to pull the evaporator out, leave it alone, leave it right where it's at. You don't have to go another week ordering another evaporator, cost you another amount of money for an evaporator because you messed up. But you know to stay away from the oxyacetylene, that you can do this. Don't do it. If you put the heat block paste on there, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. A lot of guys aren't familiar with that. They don't use that much in domestic refrigeration, refrigerators and freezers, but you do use it in HVAC and commercial because you've got expansion valves with plastic parts inside. You cannot get that component, a reversing valve on an air conditioner, you can't get that component too hot. So this heat block paste, you cover it, it's goop. And it covers it, and it will not let that component get hot. It blocks it out. It's amazing stuff. And that's what you need to use on these joints if you're using that oxyacetylene. You don't dare let that thing get too hot. And when you're using such a hot temperature, it's hard to braze and flow the solder properly. So you're on there longer because you still have leaks. You can't get it to flow. Well, you just melted the aluminum to copper joint. Okay, so you can fix it. That's the nice thing about it. You didn't just throw the evaporator away. You can fix your screw up, and that's what this product does. It's available. It's inexpensive. The learning curve is extremely small. I would tell people to go on and check it out on their website. The videos that they have of the tutorials. It's really simple once you see them doing it. You can't screw it up. And like I said earlier, if it's not flowing, more flux. You dip the rod in the flux, and it's liquid flux, and you just paint on some more flux, and it just flows and cures it. It's just amazing. So the opposite of what we do in brazing is we don't put on more flux, as you really can't do that once it's hot. But this stuff you do. You actually paint it on with the liquid flux, and it cures it, and it re-cleans it. That's the other property that it does. It re-cleans the joint. Okay, so amazing product. Check it out. I haven't said the name of it, kind of on purpose, throughout the video, but I will post the name of it down in the section below, and a link to, I don't have the website up yet, but I'm going to be doing another website specifically dedicated to this aluminum repair product. I also have a virtual assistance on Zoom that I do for technicians and customers, but also for technicians. If you have a problem with something sealed system-wise, 40 years experience, there's nothing that ever eludes me. Okay, I can figure it all out, and I can walk you through what you're having difficulty with and make it really, really seem simple for you. Like, wow, why didn't I think of that? It's a forte of mine, sealed systems. So if you have an issue and you need some assistance, I'll even do it on Zoom with you. It's a small fee, and we'll get it done. Okay, and that's my website. It's called Appliance Repair Virtual Hotline.com. These websites will all be named down in the description section below the video, as well with the aluminum repair kit. Check this out, this aluminum repair kit. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I've been trying to repair aluminum, and so has all the older guys, for 50 years, and we just haven't been able to do it till now. And now you can. But it's not a permanent fix on evaporators, because the rest of the evaporator is still corroded. So it just gets you by and gets the customer by with the operating refrigerator till you can get the new evaporator, okay? And the evaporators, like I said, you can get all the different, even refrigerator evaporators and freezer evaporators. I supply all parts for SubZero, all parts. The operational parts are on the website. If there's other parts that you need, you don't see them on the website, contact me. My email's on there. I don't put my phone number on it because I'm too busy. So just email me and I'll get back to you. If we need to talk on the phone, we'll talk to each other. And I respond right away. But whatever help I can give you, I'll give you. And we'll get you through your problems. I can't be on the road anymore. I just had a heart attack and heart surgery. So this is my way of still doing the job, on the job, but not stressing as you know we go through. And this sharing this aluminum is just an amazing thing that techs need to know about, so that you can work at a different level. And check out my other videos. There's a few things that you need to be aware of also that's been lied about for the last 30 years. Converting from R12 to 134A does not cause sludge. Let me repeat that. Converting from R12 to 134A does not cause sludge. Okay, it's been a lie for 30 years. I've been doing the systems for 30 years. Not one sludge. Air conditioning for cars has been retrofitting from R12 to 134A. Not one sludge issue. This is the manufacturers lying in a big, huge misunderstanding in the beginning, 30 years ago, that this took off in the wrong direction, saying that it causes sludge when it does not. Okay? Check out my other videos about converting from R12 to 134A. There's a procedural one on how to do it, and there's also a facts one that's a little bit longer video, and it just goes over all the facts about how the misunderstanding came about and why it's been perpetuated for the last 30 years. And all these new techs for 30 years, 3 generations, have been saying the same thing. You can't do it because they tell the new techs, you can't, it causes sludge, you can't do that. Wrong, wrong, wrong. That's the repair you want to do. You don't put an R12 compressor in with the wrong freon because you can't get R12 anymore. R12 is banned. You don't put the R12 compressor in. Okay, you put the 134A compressor in like the factory's doing when they're building new units now. It's no different than what the factory's doing. You put 134A compressor in and go from there. And if you watch the videos, you'll understand. It's just common sense. So please pass it on that this has just been a lie for 30 years. Start doing the repairs properly. Sludging does not occur when you convert from R12 to 134A properly. Okay? That's been the issue. It was a total misunderstanding. Okay? All right, so this aluminum weld procedure is amazing. I want you to check out down in the section below. I'm going to put the link to the product. Please do subscribe to the channel and like it if you like it. But subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be having a lot of revelations coming up of 40 years experience in videos to let you guys know what the real truths are, the easier way to do things, the tips and tricks that you never hear from the older guys. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay? This is one of them about being able to repair aluminum. You can do it. You can repair the evaporator, but not permanently. Okay? I mean, it would last permanently, that hole, but then you'd have to do all the rest of the corrosion holes when they pop up. You don't want to do that. Okay? So I hope don't misunderstand that. That's exactly how misunderstanding of sludge came along. Somebody took it and misinterpreted it. And that's why 30 years later, here we are. People still saying you can't convert 12 from 34A because it's going to cause sludge, and it's just not true. Okay? I'm still doing it, and I've been doing it since 1991, converting. Not one issue of sludge, ever. And neither does the car industry. They've been doing it for 30 years. Okay? They started doing it immediately when 12 was banned. Converting over to 134A, putting the 134A compressor in, getting rid of the R12 compressor, new oil, flushing the system, charging it properly, you know. And how we got off in the wrong direction just blows me away. And how nobody saw that, well, why is the car industry able to do it? And we can't do it. Well, we can. And us that were smart enough have been doing it. Okay? We saw through the lies. And we didn't misunderstand what they meant by it. It was easy to misunderstand. Anyways, so look for this product down in the section. They have like 5 different products. This product that we would use in our case is the number 1 product. It's actually named with the number 1 in it. And it's just a great product. Okay? All right, take care. Please do subscribe to my channel and like the video if you liked it. And look forward to my new revelations and different videos coming up. And what's already there. There's several videos right now in the channel that are very informative. My restoration kits, converting, SubZero parts website. I supply all SubZero parts. On and on and on. Okay? Once again, it's Michael Riley, and it's ABA Services, ABA Appliance. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.